For example, I just brought on a new client this past week. They're a sole proprietor, and we'll just switch you to an S corporation. And doing that alone, and I just paid for myself, I'm free from here on out.
Right. So, well, now you can pay me some extra.
Right. Okay. Just this one little thing. So everything else I do for you is free, and not just this year. That's the gift that keeps on giving for every year that you're in business. That's the beauty of it all. Is
they're a local Fort Collins business?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what type of business it is?
But it's a service industry business, a pest removal business.
Is it residential, commercial, or both? Or
it's mostly residential where they work.
Right. There's a huge number of businesses like that.
Sure.
Is Fort Collins particularly full of pests? I mean, if you're in Florida or Southern California, you see this a lot.
Gators here? No, we don't. But raccoons, squirrels, could be a lot of snakes.
So it's not hard, but it's not like Florida would be, where you get termites or all kinds of like insects invading everything all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do have termites and stuff, but not to the degree of Florida. No, we do not.
Okay.
It's a drier climate, so it kind of limits it out. Ticks and fleas, and well, not even fleas really too much here, but yeah.
So my experience with bookkeeping is particularly gaining an appreciation of different businesses have completely different challenges in terms of the way they need to manage their books. For example, something like a dentist, it's a very stable environment where you've got a process that is pretty much continuous week to week with similar clients. On the other hand, a builder can be, as in a contractor doing different types of projects, will have a completely different set of challenges associated with having to pay subcontractors, winning a bigger deal, managing getting the revenue from the paying the different contractors and getting the client to pay the balance. Characteristically, those are two very different types of businesses with their own unique challenges.
Yes, any business and subset has their own special what is important to them. Every business has 4 to 7 numbers. It's labor intensive, time and talent, versus a restaurant. A restaurant is their biggest numbers on their financial statement, besides headcounts, is like food costs and labor costs. Everything else is relatively stable.
I imagine with a restaurant, the biggest challenge is bums on seats or fill rate. If the restaurant is got a few clients, they're probably making a loss. There's probably a number with which they need to have every night a certain number of people in the restaurant to make the restaurant break even, and then balancing that with the costs associated with supporting that. I don't know anything about restaurants or bookkeeping in restaurants, but I'm just guessing that that's the big challenge there, is knowing what their break even, how many people they need to get in the door to break even, for example.
That's called headcount. And then there's also dollars per plate or dollars per table. What is your average? It's just managing those numbers. Takeout or a McDonald's type of a place versus a sit-down restaurant, they're vastly different animals because the numbers and the speed. You know, construction, you brought that up. I have a lot of contractors in the contracting industries. If you're a general contractor, most of your projects are going to be 6 months to 2 years. So there's a different way you have to account for those versus somebody who maybe is a plumber and they'll be in and out in a week, or a flooring guy will be in and out in a week, and there's a different accounting perspective for them. You know, it really kind of comes down to labor and materials, whether that be a restaurant or a builder or some other manufacturer. There are certain numbers that you need to hit and go from there. There's inventory things that you're always talking about, and knowing how much inventory is too much and understanding the accounting process and the timeline that it goes through.
Do you find that people struggle with that business owners struggle with that?
Constantly, yeah. Cash flow. It all actually comes back to cash flow most all the time. You make something today, how long is it going to sit on your shelves before you sell it? It's part of the accounting cycle. I made it, I got payables, I got vendors to pay, then I got a receivable because I bill it, then I finally receive that money. How long is that? And are you a bank? That is a constant problem. and not
Interesting.
understanding those things. One of my clients, right at the end of last month, he was doing great last year, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, he truly got his eye off the ball and lost a ton of money in the last 6 weeks. We talked about that a lot, and
But why did he? What was the cause? How? What happened?
he was building a new showroom. So he was not out there bidding jobs. So it slowed it all down. And so it all starts with marketing, always has. It starts there and making sure the pipeline is constantly filled. Because if you get your eye off the ball,
So he took his eye off the ball from the point of view of his pipeline of jobs.
right,